Good evening. Welcome to the City of Warrenville Finance and Personnel Committee of the Whole meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Can we have a roll call, please, Clerk?
Yes, Chairman. Alderman Ashour?
Here.
Alderman Berry?
Here.
Alderman Bevere?
Here.
Alderman Davalos?
Here.
Alderman Goodman?
Here.
Alderman Hoffman?
Here.
Alderman Widener?
Here.
Alderman Wilson?
Here.
Thank you. Can you please stand as you're able and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This is the time that we have set aside for citizens' comments, and I have one person signed up for citizens' comments, Pat O'Connor. If you'd step to the podium, please.
Okay, I'm Pan Cannon, added at 3S570 in Warrenville. Okay, that's we at the meeting up here, and I sitting right here, and I don't know the guy's name, the guy there, and I look at him like, really, you people up here, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love everybody up there, okay? And I don't understand why you people be like so don't want no sign in I-88. Okay, I don't go on A8. I've never been on A8. Okay, all right, we got a sign. Okay, right by 59 and say into Warrenville. We got a sign up here by Family Food. Right into come from Warrenville. And I don't understand why you people be like really upset about a sign. What to do is, like, do take the sign and do not want it. That's okay. Take it away. Okay, that's what I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Now it's time for the officials and staff comments, starting with the mayor.
Thank you. Just a reminder that tomorrow is the ribbon cutting for our new bridge, our new Warrenville Road Bridge and the River Remeander project. It's at the Warren Tavern at 1:30 in the afternoon, so if you're available to stop down for that, it's a nice occasion to, I guess, officially open the bridge, even though it's been open for a while. We have dignitaries coming from DuPage County, so it's going to be quite a nice deal. So if you have an opportunity to come down to the Warren Tavern tomorrow at 1:30 and witness the grand opening, the ribbon cutting of the new bridge, please join us. Thank you.
Thank you. Any alderman with a comment? Yes, Alderman Hoffman.
Just a question. I was kind of wondering what the ordinances on campaign signs. I can't quite remember. I thought I seen some on public property yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Clerk, anything? Nothing. All right. I have a couple. First, I wanted to mention that this week the city received a $20,000 payment from the American Bloom Grant Award that we were told about last year, and we finally received that. It's a wonderful grant program. It's going to provide funding for the greening of public spaces along CN Railroad lines, so we were eligible because of our proximity to the CN Railroad. And our grant funds were used for landscaping improvements in the Leonie Schmidt Heritage Park, which was in conjunction with the county's West Branch DuPage River Remeandering project. So I just wanted to say how great, again, that was, and how much America and Bloom has done for our city, and also to thank the Warrenville and Bloom chapter for their work on that. Secondly, I attended the State of Our Schools address last week from Community Unit School District 200, and they gave us a packet of information. They're collecting these blue comment sheets, and you can also get them on the District 200 website. They'd like to have comments from the community, particularly on their new capital project. They've got a lot of capital improvements that they'd like to do, and they'd like input from the community about how best to pay for those projects. It was an interesting speech. The superintendent, I think, did a good job of laying out the achievements that our schools have accomplished in the last school year. District 200, for example, our ACT composite average has ticked up fractionally, which is hard to do over thousands of students. We had 1,005 graduates in District 200 just last year alone, so to give you a sense of the size of our school body. They also took advantage of the low interest rates to refinance the existing debt that the school district has. So they didn't extend any debt, they didn't get any new debt, but they did refinance at a lower rate, so that saves all the taxpayers in District 200 some money, and that was nice to hear about, particularly as another municipality that's interested in saving taxpayer dollars. So anyway, they have a lot of this information up on the Community Unit School District 200 website if anybody's interested, or you can just contact District 200 directly, and they'll answer any questions that you might have and take your feedback if you have any. All right, so any further comments? We can start the business of the meeting. Item 1 is consideration of a resolution supporting the preservation of the monarch butterfly and registration of city-owned native plant gardens on the monarchwatch.org website. I'd like to invite Sarah Anderson, the chairman of our EAC, to come forward and speak about that. Hello. Oh, maybe.
Okay, sorry guys.
He might have turned it off.
Thank you. Is it going? Yes, okay. All right, back in February, our commission was approached by the DuPage Monarch Project about building or certifying some of our native gardens in the city to be part of their project. We worked on this for several months to try to decide the best way to go about supporting the DuPage Monarch Project, and we decided that the best way to go about this would be to install signs at 2 existing gardens within the city. These signs would provide education to residents about the importance of creating natural landscapes. The low-maintenance native plants don't require a lot of work and upkeep, and they do provide wildlife habitat and enhance biodiversity in the area. These educational items are part of our climate action plan that was passed earlier this year, and we are very passionate about trying to educate residents and continuum about different issues that the city's facing. So these actions would support the DuPage Monarch Project and educate residents with minimal staff impact, which was very important to us as well. We didn't want to create large projects for our staff members to undertake as well. So we feel that putting up these 2 signs will accomplish these goals, and we are looking forward to having your support. Any questions or comments?
Thank you so much. Anyone have any comments? Yes, Alderman Davalos.
Yes, I'm very proud of the EAC and what they've done with this. I also am happy that you considered staff time and you considered that. And this is also something, I think the signs will begin to alert residents, as you said, that this is going on and we're part of a much bigger group throughout the state and actually throughout the country that is trying to create these habitats so that as the monarchs fly south, they have some place to land and be. It's very easy. It's very easy for individual homeowners to do this also, and they can, if they just have to do a few little things, and they can get a sign for their yard. So I'm hoping people will look into this. At Arbor Day, the EAC has always supported and handed out milkweed seeds and information on how to do this. So there's a lot of information out there. And I think in this last insert or the insert to come in the newsletter for the city will be some more information. So look out for that. It's important, and it's very easy. So thank you very much for the presentation.
Alderman Widener.
Yes, I'm in strong support of this, even though I don't think the Monarchs will be able to read the signs. But I think a lot of other people will, and it'll benefit the community and encourage others to do, as Alderman Davalos said, start up their own stations in their yards, in the gardens. So with that, I move to recommend the City Council pass a resolution supporting the preservation of the monarch butterfly and direct staff to register 2 city-owned native plant gardens on the monarchwatch.org website, purchase 2 Monarch way station aluminum signs, and install the signs.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Widener, second by Alderman Davalos. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much, Sarah, for coming. All right, moving to item number 2, consideration to extend cleaning service contract with Service Master. Assistant City Administrator White.
Thank you. Staff is recommending to the committee the extension of the Service Master contract for 1 additional year. The current contract has been in place since 2013. Service Master provides janitorial services to City Hall, the Police Department, Public Works, the Albright Studio, and Cerny Park. The reason for the request of extension is to provide staff some additional time to review the current service levels that that Service Master is providing, as well as prepare a request for proposal with those service level needs in mind. So with that, the recommendation is for a 1-year extension of the current contract at the 3rd-year rate, which is $39,551.76. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or comments from the council? I have one. I was looking through the list of specifications for Cerny Park, and they mentioned the Independence Day Festival that takes place there and the annual baseball tournament. But I think maybe we could add National Night Out to that list, just because we don't have to individually notify them of an annual event. Thank you. I'd entertain a motion. Alderman Widener.
I move to recommend the City Council approve a 1-year extension of the Service Master contract in an amount not to exceed $39,551.76.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Widener, second by Alderman Wilson. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3, consideration to amend the hotel motel tax ordinance. Administrator Coakley.
Thank you. As council will recall, it was about 3 years ago. In 2013, the city council joined with 12 other communities in what was going to be a class action lawsuit against the online booking agents. Turned out they did not eventually, through all the work and the reviews in the court levels and the federal courts, it was not certified as a class, and eventually the judge did make summary judgment dismissing all but one of the cases. The Village of Lombard, the city of Warrenville, was dismissed, with the other 11, 12 in total of the 13 were dismissed. It has been, the judge in that case looked at the Lombard case as the only one that really addressed, in its ordinance, addressed the online booking agents. Therefore, the city attorney and I have looked at this matter and are recommending that the city, our city code be changed so that the definitions of who is the booking agent, who is the owner of a hotel, who is a person, who is the agency, be as broadly defined as possible to make sure that we don't have that problem in the past, that we've had in the past. And as you'll recall, the online booking agencies like Expedia and Travelocity, all of those, will book hotels for everywhere in the country. When they do that, for example, with Warrenville and other places, they collect a certain fee, and then they pay a discounted rate back to the hotels. It's a very, very basic way that that works. They collect the tax on the amount that they charge, and the whole lawsuit got into whether or not they're remitting 100% or any percent of that back to the communities. We need to we need to change the ordinance so that we can make sure that we can collect those. The judge dismissed our case again, as I said, and this should help strengthen that. If there's any other questions, there's an example, or the draft ordinance is in the packet, and also the city code is marked up to show how those changes would affect the language in that. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions or comments? I have one. I attended the IML conference this weekend, and one of the very interesting sessions seemed quite relevant to this. Apparently, there's been an explosion in the popularity of short-term rental sites like Airbnb, where people within Warrenville might rent out their house. And the discussion at the time was being moderated by an attorney and a couple of mayors. And the attorney said that the Airbnb rentals should very clearly fall into the hotel-motel tax definition, and that we should be getting hotel-motel taxes for any short-term rentals that are happening in Warrenville. And he also challenged us to go on the Airbnb website right then and find out if there were any rentals in our town. So I did, and there are. There are Warrenville homes which are being rented out on Airbnb right now. There was some disagreement between the mayors in attendance about how easy to work with Airbnb had been. One of them said, you know, Airbnb wants to pay taxes, just please approach them. They want to be considered legitimate. You know, please contact them directly. And then there was another mayor that said you have to sue them, and then they'll pay the taxes, but they say they need a court order. So I think that the experience between different communities in Illinois has varied somewhat. But I wanted to just make sure, number one, that any changes we make to this will clearly include those sort of short-term rentals, because it's happening in Warrenville now. And so I'm not sure how big of an economic activity it is, but it's only expected to grow. And number two, that maybe someone on staff contact Airbnb about it if that's possible. City Administrator?
Thank you for raising that. I will verify with the attorney that it would cover such circumstances. I believe that it does. Although our primary focus was on the, I was going to say now traditional, they used to be new, typical online booking agencies. They've been around about 15 years now, I guess, so they're considered old in this internet age. We'll make sure that those are covered, and thank you. I was just thinking we need to go online and look at those who've already done that. We'll have, I'm sure that somebody in finance will be doing that tomorrow or tonight, probably as soon as we get done here, just to verify that. I would suggest that we'll also follow up with them once we get the new ordinance adopted, just to make sure, because the language in the previous one being iffy with some other potential booking agencies, we can certainly do that, so thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Airbnb is not the only website that does short-term rentals, although I think it is right now the largest one. So working with them might be the easiest way to approach this issue. But. All right, thank you so much. Any further comments or questions? Alderman Weidner.
I move to recommend the City Council adopt an ordinance amending certain provisions of City Code Section 3-1-5, thereby making changes to the hotel and motel tax ordinance.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Weidner, second by Alderman Bevere. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, consideration to amend the fiscal year 2017 authorized strength ordinance. Finance Director Dahlstrom.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This item is being presented as a housekeeping matter. When the FY17 budget was approved, there were 2 part-time positions which were presented as decision packages, and which ultimately were funded through the budget itself. At the time we prepared the authorized strength ordinance, those 2 positions were accidentally omitted from the part-time listing in the ordinance, and this ordinance is being presented tonight to include those 2 positions so that we bring everything in line with what's actually happening.
Thank you, Director Drolston. Any comments, questions? Alderman Weidner.
I move to recommend the City Council approve a revised fiscal year 2017 authorized strength ordinance.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Weidner, second by Alderman Wilson. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 5, an informational update on the Enterprise Resource Planning ERP project. Senior Accountant Beltran.
Good evening, everyone. Leonardo Beltran, Senior Accountant. I'm here to give you an update on the ERP, or the Enterprise Planning Resource Planning System. We officially kicked off the project on August 16th. It was a half-day meeting. We used that meeting to kind of bring new staff up to date on what we did with the previous project with GFOA. We were provided project information from the GFOA consultant as far as vendors currently in the ERP market, GFOA's past experience with clients our size. We also got a list of expectations that we could expect during each of the steps on this handout that you have here. And during implementation, what can we expect as well? This handout shows the tasks at each step and the general description of what's being done at each step. The basic timeline for this is 1 year, but we will most likely go beyond that. Task 2, the planning and scope definition, officially started on August 29th and Tuesday, August 30th. Staff reviewed the processes in detail for any changes and recommendations. We discussed the scope and the planning of the ERP project itself and developed some very basic requirements from that meeting. The things that we still need to determine and develop in the project team itself. The project team consists of the sponsor, the steering committee, project manager, and selection team. The two things that are kind of outstanding still are the steering committee and the selection team. It should be about 5 employees on each of those teams, preferably 1 from each department. And the things that still need to be determined on the scope of the project, on certain functions, on utility billing and development. The question came up as far as if there should be a separate RFP and implementation. And that's something I think the steering committee, once they're determined, will have to determine as far as what to do with that. But the process of developing the requirements and the RFP for both those pieces, even if they were separate, would still be the same. The only part that would change is that once we get to the RFP part of it, they would separate out. Task 3, the process design and requirement. We have a scheduled meeting, the finance director and myself, on October 13th. This meeting is finance accounting focused, in which we'll discuss the redesign of the general ledger and the chart of accounts, and items that impact the financials directly, accounts receivable, grants, projects, and purchasing will also be at a later date with just the finance director and myself. That date's still yet to be determined. Future meetings will require staff time from all city departments. This will provide a better product at the end of the ERP system during implementation. And some of the things that the city council and the steering committee will have to consider shortly will be the implementation staffing levels. Once we get to the implementation level, how does the city manage the day-to-day work and implementation? Do we use backfill or temp workers to fill in that void, that gap? Use existing employees with overtime, or a combination of the both? And also, any future expenses regarding temp workers or overtime will have to be budgeted in future fiscal years. So that will have to be, you have to keep that in mind then going forward. So, but that is currently where we're at as far as this project goes right now. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, well, I think this is an informational only item. So we'll move on to item number 6. Thank you so much for that presentation. Number 6, consideration of fiscal year 2018 budget preparation and adoption timeline, and the cancellation of the October 24th, 2016 Special City Council Budget Workshop. Finance Director Dahlstrom.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. based on input the city administrator and I received through the budget process a year ago, we did make some changes to the proposed budget schedule for the 2018 budget process. It includes the elimination of the October 23rd meeting, which we had planned for this year as a kickoff type meeting. It was felt that those things could be covered very well during other meetings, and a separate meeting was not required to do that. The proposed schedule also includes the annual city council budget workshop, which would be held on Saturday, March 18th, 2017 at 9 a.m. The other thing we did is we moved the opportunity for elected officials to meet with the administrator and myself to ask specific questions to occur both before and after that budget workshop. There might be questions going into that meeting, but there might also be questions that arise out of that meeting. It might be a better opportunity to ask some questions on an individual basis. The other change that we proposed in here after some city council feedback was that the departmental presentations will not occur this year until after the budget book itself is distributed. If you recall, in years past, we've started doing the departmental presentations at the beginning of February, but the budget proposal did not go out until the end of February. So there was a little bit of a disconnect between the information in the budget book and the presentations by the departments. So we felt that might be a better chance to tie all that kind of together.
Thank you. And I think having one fewer meeting, the October meeting being canceled, is probably something that people here aren't going to quibble with too much. I think we appreciate your respect for our time. Any comments or questions? Alderman Weidner.
Yes, thanks for the improvements and making them based on the council's feedback. With that, I move to recommend the city council approve the fiscal 2018 budget preparation and adoption timeline as presented, including the city council budget workshop on Saturday, May 18th, 2017, and to officially cancel the special city council budget workshop previously scheduled for October 24th, 2016.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Weidner, second by Alderman Davalos, and let's just clarify that was March, not May. I think you misspoke just a moment ago. That's fine. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 7, the consideration of the calendar year 2017 City Council and Committee of the Whole meeting schedule. Finance Director Dahlstrom.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Before you is the 2017 meeting schedule for City Committee of the Whole meetings, as well as City Council meetings. The only thing I'd like to point out in here is that due to the timing of holidays and things during the year, there would be three Tuesday night City Council meetings. Be on January 3rd, February 21st, and September 5th. The meeting schedule also includes the budget workshop on March 18th, which you just approved as part of the budget preparation timeline.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? Alderman, oh, yes, there's a comment. City Administrator Coakley.
Sorry. Just wanted to point out, too, one other thing, in addition to what the finance director mentioned. Because of the dates for July of this coming year, July 3rd is a Monday night when we would normally have the city council meeting. You can't get near this building at 7 o'clock, and you're going to miss the parade that we hold as a community, so I don't think it makes a lot of sense to have that meeting. Some years long ago, when the calendar aligned this way, it was done on a Wednesday night. That makes it very difficult to try to get ready for the successive meetings. So our suggestion here, I believe it's listed in the summary also, but just so everyone is aware of it, is not to hold that meeting. Should there be some emergency or something urgent that needs to get passed, we could add a meeting on to the next committee meeting or the prior one and try to cover it that way. But again, having it on the 3rd of July is not a good idea. The 4th of July is the holiday, so we'd be on the 5th on the Wednesday night, and you're almost at the next Monday anyway at that point. So in case someone has any questions or concerns, and give you another night off during the holidays next summer.
Thank you. Alderman Weidner.
And besides, that's Emily's birthday week that week, so we wouldn't want to have a meeting and, yeah, take the whole week off, Emily. So with that, I motion to recommend the city council approve the 2017 city meeting schedule.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Weidner, second by Alderman Davalos. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8, the consideration of the calendar year 2017 city holiday schedule. Finance Director Dahlstrand.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Before you is the 2017 holiday schedule. It was prepared in coordination with the city personnel manual as well as the collective bargaining agreements. I don't have anything additional to add to other than what's in your backup for this item.
Yes, and it's interesting to see how it comes out with December 25th and December 26th on a Monday and a Tuesday this year, so that'll be a 4-day weekend. Thank you. Any comments or questions? Alderman Weidner.
Move to recommend the city council approve the 2017 city holiday schedule.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Weidner and a second by Alderman Davalos. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Alderman, no. Again, Finance Director Dahlstrand. Item number 9, receive and file the Warrenville Police Pension Fund Actuarial Report for the year beginning May 1, 2016 and ending April 30th, 2017.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Annually, as part of our audit process, although it's not directly related to the audit, but it is required about that same time. So we have an actuarial report performed for the Warrenville Police Pension Fund. Tonight, this is a receive and file of that report, and I just want to point out a few things that are in the report that will also then show up in our annual audit report. Our percent funded did slightly decrease from 66% to 65.1%. It's through no fault of ours. We have been contributing not only our required amount, but we also have been contributing additional amounts. One of the things that affected that was a change in the mortality tables. There was a 16-year jump in that table. What that means is they went from the 2000 report to a 2016 report. So there is a big effect on that. It's on page 22. We added about almost $1.6 million in liability, again through no fault of our own. In upcoming years, we will see smaller changes in mortality tables because they will be making annual changes to that, as opposed to a 16-year jump in the table that they use. The final thing I will mention is our levy requirement will go up about 7.7% from $859,923 to $926,044, and that will be included when we present the 2016 property tax levy in November. Will be the first time we discuss that.
Thank you, Director Dahlstrand. Comments and questions? Yes, Alderman Davalos.
So I'm assuming that none of these changes really puts us off course for meeting our obligations, the new not new, but the current obligations that the state or the pensions are setting.
No, we're still on course, and we also, I'll point out also that we do right now have a 20-year reserve in that fund, which is a very good reserve to have, meaning that if nothing were to change, for 20 years, we could meet the obligation of the pension benefits we're paying out right now.
I have a couple of questions. On page 9, the anticipated employee contributions are actually going to drop a bit year over year. I mean, I think it's about a $5,000 change, but it does seem strange that it would be going down instead of up.
Well, it has a lot to do with employees who have left. Some longer-term employees left during this last year. Again, then they're replaced with lower-paid employees, which by consequence means that the contributions go down, even though the percentage they contribute is still 9.91%. It's on a smaller amount to begin with.
That makes perfect sense. Thank you. Also, the page 10, there was one big jump that I didn't have any idea what it means. This is probably just a financial term. I don't know, but it said the terminated vested annuities were going from about 100,000 to over $1.5 million, and I just didn't know what that was.
That is an employee who is left, who is currently not eligible for a pension, but will be in the near future, and they're not able to draw on that pension right now.
Okay, makes sense. I was very encouraged to see on page 4 that the overall summary of results was so positive. It said that the plan is to be expected to produce adequate assets to make benefit payments when they're due, and it said that the benefit payment default risk or the financial health of the plan sponsor was not deemed to be material, and I thought that was really nice to see that, you know, our hard work has resulted in pretty positive outlook for this fund.
I would like to point out one other thing, Madam Chairman. The only small bump in this is that the actual annual investment return was down by 0.46%, which is really not very much, but it is considerably lower than the expected return of the fund over the long term. So it's not a huge impact, but it is a small negative impact, again, through no fault of our own, because we do not have control over the markets.
Of course. Okay, thank you. There is an action item on this. Yes, Alderman Widener.
Move to receive and file the City of Warrenville Police Pension Fund Actuarial Valuation Report for the year beginning May 1st, 2016, and ending April 30th, 2017.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Widener, second by Alderman Davalos. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10 is a decision package update to provide an informational update on the administration, city clerk, and finance department decision packages. We want to make sure that there's an opportunity for the aldermen to comment if they have any questions on this. Any comments or questions? Otherwise, it's only an informational only item. So, we've concluded the business of the meeting. There's no closed session. Alderman Widener.
Move to adjourn.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. We are adjourned.